All right, guys, ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Drivers, start your engine!
Let's go, Brandon!
That a lot of these issues are not as simple as a one-sentence explanation. Different industries have different issues in the supply chain.
Tucker has a lot of left-wing people on, and he doesn't disparage them or criticize them or mock them. You know, he had Brett Weinstein on, who's very progressive. He has Tulsi Gabbard on.
We had 40,000 Brazilians come through the Yuma sector alone, headed for Connecticut, wearing designer clothes and Gucci bags. This is not economic migration anymore.
Okay. All right. First of all, let's do some housekeeping. Alice, let me get people up to date on a couple of issues. Thank you, by the way, for all the correspondence on my various disasters in my life. A couple things have been resolved. I've got the stuff that the good-looking doctor said I could have for my foot for prescription cream so it wouldn't be infected. It came in today, barely 2 days after it was crucially needed. My foot is totally gangrenous now. It's useless. Doesn't matter. I have got my fat pills now. My numbers, my stroke has been pushed off a little bit. That's good news. I did email those effers at Planet Fitness about my what's it called? Revoked membership. And so that's that there. Now, what freaking holy hell? And this is off the heels of last night. That we've got a local Facebook page in the town, like nice people of this town. And so there's a guy on there who wanted to essentially take away a sign that commemorates a spot where an Indian thing happened, and so because he
wants to add context and nuance to it.
Forever. He's got a problem with it because you get social points now for owning a Lexus while having something taken down that's done by white people. So he wants it done. So whatever. And I go and I engage in the thing, and I have kind of a civil conversation with the people who are congratulating each other on how civil they're being, etc. And then at some point I'm being condescended to in the thing about how I need to learn and I need to avail myself of information. Avail myself was the thing used. And then one of the progressives started to get salty and saying, "Good night, sir. That's it." Whatever. But I was never being mean. I wasn't trying to dunk on anybody.
Right.
I am very far beyond those days.
Yeah, you're not like emotionally invested in the Native American stuff the way they are at all.
Well.
I mean,
I find it interesting.
you find it interesting, but you're not like angry about it.
No, I know. I'm not angry about it. I think I knew. I have a feeling. Anyway, they came off as they're very empathetic, very level-headed, sober people, and the masks came off immediately, and and one of the women said, "Oh, what do you know? You're from Winchester, and you used to be a concierge." And something else she said too. I don't understand. I don't understand if these things were bad things, that I'm from a different town south of here.
Well, oh yeah, and then the other guy said that if you voted for Trump, then you can't say anything about anything.
Right,
because he tried to cancel democracy.
Right, which wasn't great, wasn't clever. It's fine, but I didn't care because I wasn't trying to play the game that they were trying to play, where they'd ferreted out a Trump guy, and they were gonna, show me now, like the leftist, coffee house smackdown. Really, it's a scary thing. But anyway, so she goes, coming from a person from Winchester. So she either just found my Facebook profile or whatever, did a cursory check, and figured, you know what? This guy isn't agreeing with me. I'm going to find deadly information on him and just end the conversation that way. What does it mean if I'm from Winchester? What does that possibly mean? I'm from a really nice, rich town that's from somewhere else? Does it mean that I'm effete? Does it mean it's a crappy town? Does it mean that I'm not from this town? So then I can't... I don't even know how to feel about the incoming fire because I don't know what it means. And what does it mean when she says, "Mr. used to be concierge at Omni Parker House"? Is that her showing that she knows how to use Google? Or did she find the hidden secret? I've been trying to bury that forever. Oh my God. You're right, I was confused and young. Yeah, I was. It was awesome, actually. And, yeah, is that a class thing? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Well, because I think Because then if like further down into her comments, she was saying that they had a very distinguished local historian look into it.
Well,
compared to you, who's just a concierge and low rent talk radio host.
I see. Then the guy went after me and said that he's
when they have a very distinguished local historian.
And then the guy called me a low rent host, and
she did. That was the girl. That was the same. That was concierge girl.
Oh.
She said you're a former concierge at the Omni Parker House and low rent talk radio host.
Low paid talk radio host. So that my whole thing is like, I don't understand this thing that they're trying to have, and so and then I'm responding to their things, but I think that at some point maybe somebody said, I don't know what it was, but then I'm like, they deleted the thread. Whose thread was that? Was it just too fiery?
It was the guy, William Bradley Busher.
Oh, the first guy. So
the first guy had made the thread, or the admins of the group could delete it too. It's just one of the two.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable. Like, what? I just got ganged up by two people who.
Well, maybe they did it to protect you.
Please, I absolutely not need. So we get that. So whatever. I'm not impressed by the attempt. I get the feeling that these are people who don't listen to enough low-rent radio and haven't hung out in places where people raise their voices generally. And I don't know that they're aware that they're the level of milquetoast that they are. I don't know that they think they are. I think that they think that they were up to some violent smiting of me.
Right.
And I don't think that they understand that but it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to show that. I'm just saying they're milquetoast and Well,
and I don't think they're used to like being challenged on stuff, because I think that they only hang out with people who agree with them or who don't say that they disagree with them, right? So, like, they go through life with this, like, straw-manned idea of what the evil Republicans think about the thing. So, like, they already have the argument worked out in their head, like, of what you're going to say and how you think about it, and they have no idea what you really think about it or what you know about it or anything else, because it's never occurred to them that you could actually have all the same facts and information and have a different opinion. You must just be an ignorant moron who thinks that all the colonials were all great and wonderful and the Indians were terrible savages or something, and that they're going to educate you and disabuse you of the notion that you have. The idea that you could have a nuanced view of it and just reach a different conclusion than they did is impossible to them, because they've never encountered that, because they've never actually stopped and sought out anyone with an actual legitimate different opinion and tried to find out why they feel the way they do about something, because that's not how they operate.
So this is something that I think that people need to know. Hold on, I'm just looking around to find something. How do you spell Holocaust?
HOLOCAUST.
Is this it?
Any luck over there?
Sorry about that. I'll stop doing it.
Did you find out anything about the Holocaust? You're in good company. A lot of millennials don't know what the Holocaust is, apparently. Whenever they do surveys, it's like a quarter of people under 40 have no idea what it is. So if you're looking it up.
And I'm not denying that it happened. I was just looking here.
Anything?
Okay, here it is. So this is what I want to say, and I think that this town where we are has done it, like many other towns have done it. And people should know this in case you don't know it. Mm-hmm. There is a thriving industry out there, of people from marginalized groups and people from non-marginalized groups. It is a thriving industry who will travel to your town meetings or your historic commission meetings or your board of education meetings and will tell you how racist and bad your things are.
Right.
And you are. They will fly all over the place.
They're like professional expert witnesses for trials.
That's exactly right.
You just
and
bring them in to give the opinion that you need them to give.
And they will go to Winchester, Massachusetts and tell you why Sachem's is a racist, horrible thing that's not actually Sachem. It's actually Sachem anyway, and it meant...
Sachem.
It meant chief, whatever. It didn't mean chief. No, it meant
like
medicine. Right. They'll tell you that. And they'll tell you that it's a misuse of the person anyway. So scientifically, there's no reason. You're not even really, if you want to keep the name Sachem, you're not really honoring Sachems because, one, it's not Sachem, it's Sachem, and also they're nothing like what you think they are, which is also wrong. Sachems were chiefs. They were. I don't care. Sorry about that. They were. But that doesn't matter. But But they're also going to tell you that it's insensitive because for several reasons. They'll tell you that the imagery is not accurate, so it's insensitive. It's overly hyperbolic imagery, which is insensitive, and they'll tell you that it hurts them, and so that's why it must be. And they'll pretend as if they're working through this with you, but they've come to the conclusion. They're paid to have the conclusion up front, and they've got it. Absolutely. So they will tell you how racist Sachems is, how racist the red men are, how racist the red warriors are. They'll be happy to do that. They'll go everywhere, and they will do it. They will tell you, others will tell you how simply racist you are. And you know, there are people for years now have been going around and they'll tell you about your white fragility and they'll tell you how fragile.
We've managed to live in a lot of towns that have had mascots that have been problematic. We haven't done it on purpose,
They'll fly in, they'll do it by Zoom meeting, etc. And they'll tell you about this. And then you, as the good progressive, can say, see, this guy, whatever wing or whatever his name is, from whatever tribe, whatever, he says that it is racist, right? And these people are easy to find, and they do it, and then they use this and cite this. Oh, you didn't hear the very thoughtful speaker we had. Here's one of the very thoughtful speakers called Ferries Gray, his name is, who travels all over the place. By the way, there are also thoughtful speakers on the other side who will say, Sachem is awesome, yeah, keep it.
We've also, by the way, we should avail ourselves. We've had the thoughtful speakers on this show too, and talk to them on here and let them just have the run of the show and say all kinds of things that we just let them go and do their thing. I mean, like, so the idea that we're not exposed to any of these arguments and we're just ignoramuses.
No, only they've availed themselves. I'm sorry that Ferries Gray or whoever it is, invoiced you, and so you think that you can lecture me, but I've seen them and talked to them as well.
We also, by the way, like, I'll let you get to the thing, but we also, like, read a ton of early American history and watch it. We know a lot about early Native colonial interactions, like, probably more than a lot of the people who are lecturing us. Like, not to put too fine a point on it, but, like, we put a lot of time in reading these original, like, first-hand accounts of this stuff.
And you always see their posts and they say, we really owe it, guys. That's this sign that in particular, we owe it, to have a sign that better talks about those people who inhabited this land before us. So one, we don't owe anybody anything. There's one thing, okay? We don't owe anything. If you feel bad and you live in this nice town and you feel bad that the natives ceded over the land by bullies, by force, whatever, then you can do whatever you want with your house. It's remarkable. You could give it away if you want to.
Yeah.
It's remarkable what you want to do. But this idea that we have to, the land, nobody knows. You have no idea of what was going on then. If the particular Indians that were living on your land assimilated right into the culture, they may very well have. Or what was going on. Or the Indians who were living on the land that you're on to absolutely loved the people, the settlers, white settlers from Europe who were here.
And like the time period that we're talking about, the mid-1600s, part of the ongoing conflict between the settlers and the Native Americans were that some Native Americans had converted to Christianity and other Native Americans didn't like that and slaughtered them. So that was one of the ongoing things. When you talk about assimilation and the fact that it was complex, like, it absolutely was complex, and this was not This was not like cut and dried white people evil
but
mean.
for them to say when they say things like, "Oh, we just want to like draw a bigger picture or make it more whatever," and this sign is incomplete because it talks about this person who shot a Native American and shot the rum out of his hand, whatever. We just wanted to. No, what they're wanting to do is make an apology because Western civilization is evil and bad, and they feel bad about it, and they want to make that public so they can feel good about it. That's all that is. That's all it is. They're bad. They aren't bad, but there are other people around them that are bad. It comes from the same place as, hey, there's no home here lawn sign. I'm not one of the bad ones. Not in this house. Over there, the fat guy with all the chickens. He's a bit. So anyway, here's one of the guys that travels all around the country getting paid big bucks to tell rich suburbians how racist they are.
In order to understand how the indigenous feel about these mascots, you have to understand the history of this country and what happened to us. We were colonized and assimilated. We make the comparison quite often to the similarities between what Hitler did and what the colonists did. The one difference is Hitler was stopped and the colonists were not.
That gentleman right there, that is called an a-hole. That is what he is.
That's also like pretty offensive.
I would say it could be pretty offensive.
I don't think most things
we're paying you good money to call us racist, and you come up with Hitler in the first 5 words? I'd like a refund, too. How lazy is that? But it's in 1,000 ways offensive, stupid, incompetent, and impotent. And screw you, Fairies Gray, grifter. My goodness, zero. As somebody who's had direct descendants murdered.
Well, ancestors, not descendants.
Oh, whatever that's called. Ancestors murdered by other people who may or may not have been indigenous. I feel that that I have just as the right to speak about my grievances as anybody else. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I also I know that leftists like to call what happened to the Native Americans genocide, but I think that that's a difficult and problematic comparison when you draw it out to its natural conclusion, because if you say, for example, that immigrants to a new place who might bring diseases constitute a genocide, then I think that other things will fall into that category that you will not want to fall into that category, and it gives rhetorical cover to people who actually are like white nationalists in Europe or wherever, who are saying like, look, we're the native people to this land, and these foreign invaders are moving in and bringing in bad customs and diseases, and they're genociding us just by moving in and there being more of them. And that's not a line of thinking I agree with. I think that that's a bad rhetorical argument and not a good comparison to genocide. And so I think that you have to be careful when you talk about, because we talk about being like a nation of immigrants, and, the people on the left especially will always do this when the immigration debate comes up. They'll say like, well, the white people that came here were immigrants. Well, if immigrating to a place can constitute genocide, I think that takes the conversation to a place that I personally disagree with and am not comfortable with. But if and I don't think that.
Yeah, but are they suggesting that the smallpox was genocide?
I mean, I've definitely heard it called genocide. Overall, what happened to the Native Americans is genocide, right?
We gave Europeans smallpox, and it tore through Europe again and again and again and again and again, and all of these plagues and all these other things happened. That was not a deliberate attack. The Native Americans had no antibodies.
Yeah, and the blanket stuff is like apocryphal.
Yes, it is, and also, there are certain cases as well that I said that during outbreaks of smallpox in Europe, Native Americans would go to Europe, be kidnapped, enslaved, or whatever, and not get smallpox. So I'm not sure of what exactly is going on there. Well, nobody is. I've seen all sorts of writing on it, and they're sure because obviously smallpox was ripping across Europe, that it was from, but we don't know how, but anyway, I think it's fair to say that American Indians, let's not even, up here, this is up here in the Northeast is kind of a different story than like the Cherokees and others more in the middle of the country. But Andrew Jackson absolutely ethnically cleansed Indians.
Yeah, that was, I mean, the Trail of Tears and that stuff
Yes.
were deliberate actions to eliminate people.
Yes, and they were immoral and bad, as far as I'm concerned, and illegal, because the Supreme Court had ordered Jackson to stop removing the Georgia Removal Act or whatever it was. I know that it's even more complicated than that, but that's not what's happening down the street here, etc. That's not what we're talking about. This, it's funny because she says, avail yourself of the history. The history up here in the Northeast New England of the Indians in all these wars, starting with King Philip's War and two subsequent wars, which never really ended until they ended. It is a vast universe of different actions and events that happen. It is not. So there's no way that they've availed themselves to history. If they had, one, they'd be nauseous to see how absolutely bloody and full of atrocities it was.
Right.
But you know what? I only meant to talk about this for 17 seconds.
Right. But it's an interesting topic, and we just celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day. And, I've been thinking about this and, reading some of these things, in particular about Columbus and stuff. And, the Mexica people who used to be called the Aztecs, but now we've gone with their more accurate name. It's spelled like Mexico, but with an A, and it's pronounced Mexica. But anyway, that's what the Aztecs are called now. But I was just reading this huge article
about
about how...
By the way, it's a starfish.
Oh, it's not a sea star? Okay. And sea jellies, because they're not technically fish.
They changed starfish to they have to be sea stars and sea jellies. Go ahead about the Mexicas.
Anyway, so I was just reading this huge article about how they had all these accounts from Columbus and other explorers about how the Mexica people had these towers of human skulls from all their human sacrifices, and they had never found them, so they thought maybe it was just apocryphal, they just made it up to make the natives look bad. But guess what? They found the towers of human skulls, and there's thousands and thousands of human skulls mortared together to make big towers from all the human sacrifices, men, women, children. Then. So, I
can't believe that. How did that happen? Can we have Columbus Day back then?
So it's a little complicated. All this stuff is complicated, but it's,
it's the wrong button.
For people to sit here and tell you, avail yourselves of the history, you're just like Hitler. It's absolutely
right. So
the
anyway, these two
possible.
people who were so able to enlighten and they killed the thread, and suddenly I was out. I was talking to people and suddenly it was gone. So that's one person. So that gets, just plant that over there. So what happened 46 minutes ago when I heard a ruckus outside of the house? Alice? This is, I'm taking baby steps to saying if we could ever adequately clean and fix our house, to moving. So what is the next thing that happened?
A lovely lady who's our neighbor, who is very sweet.
Our neighbor where?
Down across in the White House.
Not directly across?
Not the close ones that we met. The next one across. Yeah.
Not across, but up. So it's like a football field away.
Right.
Okay. The football field away. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
she came.
And
she introduced herself.
Where did she come to?
Up our driveway. To the top of the driveway.
Top of the driveway.
And she handed me flowers. Mm-hmm. And introduced herself. And I was confused, clearly. And she said that she had come over to introduce herself and let me know that the guinea fowl noises grate her soul. And
did she use those words?
Yeah.
Did you say the guinea fowl noise grazed my soul?
She said it's like a rusty hinge in my soul. And she said they do it all night, which I don't know that that's true. I don't really hear them at night. But okay. I mean, they do make noises. They are loud birds, but they're not, I don't know. But
they are loud birds.
I live
and they
closer.
Do walk across the street sometimes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I told her I would research whatever possible solutions could be researched to make them quieter. And she said she felt better just having talked to me. And she said she's lived all over the country and she's never complained to a neighbor about anything and she feels terrible. And yeah, so that was that.
Okay.
But they don't seem to have been making noise since then.
Listeners, you guys have heard them here.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear them. When they get going, they're loud. There's no doubt about that. And it is a point of contention that we got more, obviously. If things are like they used to be, I don't expect all of them will last very long.
That is true. That is true. We are, of the original 6, we have 2 left. And so now there's 6 new babies. So there's 8. Yeah, but if the same proportion lives this time, we'll have 4 by the spring.
But the fact that there's these birds that a football field away bother somebody from hearing the birds. Just imagine hearing geese, I guess, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A really sensitive hearer is a total pain in the ass. Totally. And that stress makes me think we should effing move immediately.
Well,
and of course we can't move because we're stuck here. So the soul grade person is going to have to just take it.
Well, I don't know.
I don't. So great. Now
but
we've
it's
got
also
that.
Like we're not the only people in town that have them.
Well,
probably the closest people to her, but plenty of people in town have them. We've heard them driving around town also.
Right, but ours are the ones she hears. So I don't care about any other.
No, I understand that, but it's a town with farms and noisy birds and stuff like that. So it's not we're not in downtown Boston with noisy birds.
Mm-hmm.
So while I obviously am going to try various solutions so I was looking up the solutions too, and then as I came in, as I was making chicken nuggets for the kids, and one can...
Don't brag, Ellis.
One...
How the cuisine that we prepare, all farm to table, by the way.
They're chicken nuggets made of our chickens, okay? How about
that would solve a problem.
Well, yeah, so that is one of the possible solutions, is that some of them tend to be noisier than others, so you can kind of observe and see which ones are the loudest and then call them until the herd quiets down, the flock quiets down.
I don't want to know anything more about how you're going to call them, Alice. How would you call them?
Well, how did we call Avocado the rooster?
We didn't call anything, Alice. I drove 6 towns away.
Mm-hmm.
So you would
find the noisy ones
and murder them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just because Mrs. LL Bean up the street is comfortably wants to sip her coffee without hearing fowl make farm noises in a farm town.
Noise.
So now what we have now is we essentially now have upstairs neighbors who we have to worry about. We have that stress that I thought we've moved out here to the boonies where there's nothing but a 20-minute drive to Walmart's. There's nothing else up here. And now we've got essentially an upstairs neighbor who's sensitive about hearing things.
Well, a lot of people on the street have moved now that their kids are grown. Her kids are in their 20s now. She was telling me about them. So maybe they'll decide to move. Why are you looking?
So the
at
other
me?
guy with a tiny dog, which he came running through the yard the other day. He's not a tiny dog. He's a dog with ridiculously tiny legs. The fuselage is big.
It's like a corgi type up.
Anyway,
yeah.
He came running up the driveway the other day while I was up here and said, "Oh, you haven't seen a corgi, have you? He ran through here." And I said, "No." Now I could have taken umbrage to a guy running through the property. I could have said, I could have taken umbrage to the dog being loose, to the idea that the dog could very easily kill our animals. That's fine.
Could have killed little Jerry.
That's right. I was just thinking that. He could have been the one who killed little Jerry. I will not complain. I will never complain. You can run through my place looking for your 2 short-legged dog all you want. Your guinea fowls can make more noise than they need to make all you want. It's not as if we have a boombox out there. And once again, we live a football field away.
They're pretty far away.
Yes. But she needs a certain non-noise, even though we live on a very busy street, and so it bothers her. Okay. I dated a lady about 10, what is this year? 2021? Okay, 15 years ago or so, maybe more. And she was sensitive to the sound of feet.
Mm-hmm.
And there were upstairs neighbors, and she would constantly complain that she could hear them walking around. They tried to accommodate her. They got rugs and things. I had to stand next to her as her partner in this thing, and I was just horrified. I'm so sorry that I can't. She's insane.
Well, I think this lady felt bad that she was complaining about it. That's why she brought us a vase of flowers.
But what I don't understand. They're outdoor birds that walk around and eat ticks. That's what they do.
Well, that's what I told her, and she told me she's had Lyme disease, so she understands.
Of course she has.
And she said they're very beautiful birds. And she said she felt better having seen them and talked to me. And she said she usually loves animals.
Okay. That's fine. All right. So okay, that's good. That's great. So that's where we are right now. All right. Should we talk about?
I have a story that will cheer you up.
I don't think you do, to be honest. But you may go ahead.
Okay. This is from the Washington Free Beacon. A Yale law student sent a lighthearted email inviting
classmates. So this is very wordy. So make sure that we don't do too much.
Yep, I'm not going to do the whole thing. A second-year law student at Yale Law, both a member of the Native American Law Students Association and the Conservative Federalist Society. So this is a person of color. He's a member of the Native American Law Students and the Federalist Society.
Conservative group, yep.
Invited classmates to an event co-hosted by the two groups. We will be christening our very own Native American law students' trap house by throwing a Constitution Day bash in collaboration with the Federalist Society, he wrote in a September 15th email to the Native American listserv. In keeping with the theme, the mixer would serve American-themed snacks like Popeye's chicken and apple pie. So within minutes, the lighthearted invite was screenshotted and shared to an online forum for all second-year law students, several of whom alleged that the term trap house indicated that the event was a blackface party.
What is it? Is that problematic? The blackface party is...
Is that what you took away from trap house?
No, nobody does.
I guess celebrating whiteness wasn't enough, said the president of the Black Law Students Association. Y'all had to upgrade to cosplay blackface. She also objected to the mixer's affiliation with the Federalist Society, which she said has historically supported anti-black rhetoric. Just 12 hours after the email went out, the student was summoned to the law school's Office of Student Affairs, which administrators said had received 9 discrimination and harassment complaints about his invitation. Did
they bring them flowers too?
At the September 16 meeting, which the student recorded and shared with the Washington Free Beacon, the Associate Dean, Ellen Cosgrove, and the Diversity Director, Yassine Eldek, told the student that the word trap connotes crack use, hip-hop, and blackface. Those triggering associations, Eldek said, were compounded by the fried chicken reference.
I love that he's Eldek.
He's a former Obama White House official, and he went on to say that the student's membership in the Federalist Society had triggered his peers. The email's association with the Federalist Society was very triggering for students who feel like the Federalist Society belongs to political affiliations that are oppressive to certain communities, Eldek said. That, of course, obviously includes the LGBTQIA community and Black communities and immigrant communities. The statement signals that the administrators of the country's top-ranked law school now regard membership in the Federalist Society as a legitimate object of offense and as grounds of discipline. Throughout the September 16 meeting and a subsequent conversation, Eldek and Cosgrove hinted repeatedly that the student would face consequences if he didn't apologize, including trouble with the bar exams, character, and fitness investigations, which Cosgrove would weigh in on as Associate Dean. Those investigations review aspiring lawyers' disciplinary records in considerable detail. The New York State Bar asks law schools to describe any discreditable information that might bear upon an applicant's character, even if it did not result in formal discipline. It is unclear what Cosgrove was referring to when she warned on September 16th that things may escalate without an apology.
How fantastic.
I worry about this leaning over your reputation as a person, Eldek chimed in.
Oh,
not just here, but when you leave. You know, the legal community is a small one. The best way to make this go away, he continued, would be to formally apologize to Yale's Black Law Students Association. You're a law student, and there's a bar you have to take, Eldick said in a follow-up meeting on September 17. So we think it's really important to give you a 360-degree view. When the student resisted, saying he'd prefer to have a face-to-face
What a bunch of weasel words. Weasel.
Good on
weird
this kid for
poltergeist
recording
words.
it.
Where's the recording? What the hell are they thinking?
So he gave the recording to the Washington Free Beacon, but I don't know if it's on here. This is who's reporting it. Yeah. So, but they have it presumably. So they did make him draft an apology in which he apologized to the entire second-year class, and he said he wanted to talk to anybody face-to-face who had a problem, but they made him draft an apology, and they told him that that as a man of color, there probably wasn't as much scrutiny of you as there might have been of a white person of the same position, Eldick informed the Native American student. I just want to acknowledge that there's a complexity to that, too. So I guess he lucked out that he had one victim point in his favor, because they essentially told him that he got off easy because he was also a BIPOC.
Right.
But how incredible. That's our law schools. I mean,
oh, of course. I mean, yeah, but L. Dick is like anybody else. It's like these people are just moving, and mobilized everywhere. And they're seeping through everywhere. Every institution, every freaking friendly
so to summarize,
people of this town page.
The word trap house, which is in the title of like the biggest liberal political podcast that exists.
Yep.
That word means crack, hip hop, and blackface.
No, but it feels like it does to these
especially if you're in the Federalist Society, and especially if you have fried chicken while you mention a trap house.
Mm-hmm. Yes, these are all dangerous tropes. I don't know. I'm Alice. I'm very close to violence right now. So I don't want to think about it anymore. Let's see. This is other shit I got here. Sorry about that. Sorry. I'll try to take that out. There you go. The only audio I really care about is Joe Rogan said a nice thing about Tucker Carlson.
Tucker has a lot of left-wing people on, and he doesn't disparage them or criticize them or mock them. You know, he had Brett Weinstein on, who's very progressive. He has Tulsi Gabbard on. He has people on. I mean, I think he's unfairly labeled because people want to marginalize him and dismiss him immediately and call him a white separatist or a white supremacist or whatever word that makes you a part of a list of people that you can never associate with. They like to initially do that about him. But I think his discussions that he has on his show are some of the most nuanced in that he is willing to have conversations with anybody from all these different whatever people that have been, you know, in issues with college censorship where, you know, so-called progressive college students have censored professors from discussing certain topics, or, you know, he'll talk about all kinds of things. And I think that's very important in this time, that you have people like him.
Yes.
As much as he gets criticized and as much as I get criticized, there's a very important thing that is happening when people are discussing uncomfortable issues, and we have to figure out what's right and what's wrong, and you don't get that by just buying into the official narrative.
How do you tell somebody their birds are loud? No, I'm serious.
You're not listening to Rogan?
How do you tell somebody their birds are loud? Because so you've left that with him. You know that there's nothing you can do about the loudness of your birds. Really, there's nothing.
She just wanted to register it.
Oh, is that all she wanted to register it? Good. Well, that's great.
She did say, I suppose the kids are probably attached to them.
Oh, so she's not going to demand that we get rid of them immediately. We're not playing Jen Psaki because I'm going to go effing ballistic. Lindsey Graham said this.
The policy choices of Biden are all over the world now. We had 40,000 Brazilians come through the Yuma sector alone, headed for Connecticut, wearing designer clothes and Gucci bags. This is not economic migration anymore. People see an open America. They've taken advantage of us, and it won't be long before a terrorist gets in this crowd.
I will scare the shit out of the people of Hartford with that tomorrow. So... Although a caller told me about it today. I didn't even know it had happened. I don't know what that means, but that's interesting.
Wait, is Biden's going to be there Friday, right? Is that this Friday? Okay, good. That's good. So Biden's big thing was he talked today. He didn't take questions to announce that he's on it with the ports. They've been pretending that the issue with the ports, with all the ships that can't deliver any of their containers, that whole thing has not been happening. They've been trying now for months. This has been an issue since like June. You know, I've been seeing buzz about the fact that there's like all these ships trapped outside the ports.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And like it's been total radio silence, but now the retailers are saying that, like, stuff's not going to get here for Christmas. It's going to be a sad Christmas under the Christmas tree this year. So Biden is now, he announced he's going to make the ports work 24/7 from now until they get the ships all cleared. But it's not just the ports, though. Here's the thing, because they load the containers into the port and then trucks have to pick them up and drive them. And not only are the ports undergoing a staffing shortage, but there's also a trucker staffing shortage.
Partly why?
Vaccine mandates?
No,
I don't know.
Because Newsom won't allow owned and operated trucks.
Okay, is that part of one of his new?
It's a climate thing.
Right. Okay,
Correct.
so they have to like be battery operated or whatever. So electric trucks or
they have to be
something.
compliant in some way that a lot of the truckers aren't eligible, whatever.
Yeah. So but I think obviously the pandemic is part of the staffing shortage thing. Obviously the like vaccine stuff is part of it, and then also there's all this like crazy demand because they've dumped a bunch of cash into the economy and people are buying stuff, you know. So it's all these like big companies like Amazons and Walmarts and stuff have all these containers of stuff coming in from overseas that you know, people are ordering online and it's clogging up the works. So they're saying it's like a combination of demand and labor shortages. But yeah, I mean, the labor shortage thing is this isn't a problem that's going away anytime soon, because is there a job now that's paying less than $20 an hour to start? Like, it seems like everything you see is like is crazy money for these like
Associated Press, Alice.
Okay.
Heating bills set to soar as inflation hits energy prices.
No, the inflation is transitory.
Yes, get ready to pay sharply higher bills for heating this winter, along with seemingly everything else, with prices surging worldwide for heating oil, natural gas, and other fuels. In the U.S. government, this is where Biden's climate czar in that first few weeks shutting stuff down. That's right.
We saved 16 cents on our 4th of July barbecue. I hope you saved that to use on your winter heating bill.
Yep, the U.S. government said Wednesday it expects households to see their heating bills jump as much as 54% compared to last winter.
Good work.
Heating bills
Climate justice.
Heating bills jump 54% and the dollar is worthless. Nearly half of the homes in the U.S. use natural gas for heat, and they could pay an average of $746 this winter, 30% more than a year ago. What do we have?
We have natural gas.
Oh, excellent. That's great. F it. I'm just going to blow this effing place up anyway. You won't have to worry about the guinea fowl anymore. Those in the Midwest could get particularly pinched with bills with an estimated 49%.
We'll be cooking the guinea fowl over the burn barrel this winter.
This could be the most expensive winter for a natural gas heated homes since 2008-2009. Second most used heating source for homes is electricity, making up 45% of the country. Those households could see a modest 6% increase. Oh, there you go. Congrats to all you guys on electricity. Homes using heating oil, which make up 4% of the what?
But in New England, there are a lot more because we have older houses.
Oh, could see 43%, more than a 55% increase.
Yeah.
Yada.
And New England, all these things are usually more expensive than the other parts of the country, too, because we suck at getting them here because we refuse to build any carbon-based infrastructure because we're annoying. So,
Associated Press, breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of retirees on Social Security will get a 5.9% boost in benefits for 2022. Awesome.
Well, that's good.
That's right. The biggest cost of living adjustment in 39 years follows a burst in inflation as the economic struggles to shake off the drag of the coronavirus pandemic. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been working on some articles about how inflation is good. Bloomberg did an article entitled, America Needs Higher, Longer-Lasting Inflation. The benefits of moderately rising prices and wages outweigh the costs.
Right.
So, first, it wasn't going to happen at all.
No.
Then it was going to be transitory. Then it became just actually good. So, that's... Yeah, surveys suggest the public is not convinced that inflation will be transitory. All this has economists and central bankers doodly poring over data for signs of when or whether inflation, currently just under 4%, will drift back down toward the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. Instead, they should be considering a more fundamental question. Should the Fed strive to make 4% inflation permanent? To be clear, there's no doubt that the recent rise in price growth has been an unpleasant shock.
Really? Was it the heating oil and the natural gas and everything else?
That's partly because it's uneven. A sharp increase in the price of a small set of products creates more pain than a rise in the overall rate of inflation.
Just think, there are people out there so well off, rich, with yards full of Subarus and Lexi and Range Rovers, with Hate Has No Home Here yard signs, who will be unaffected by any of this and just be happy that the good guy, Biden, is there and the big mean Trump guy is gone. They'll be unaffected by any of this. And this won't affect their lives whatsoever. And they'll have plenty of time to go look for Indian signs to change.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll spend their time doing.
Get this paragraph. One way to see how this good inflation would play out is to consider the mortgage market. Higher nominal interest rates would mean a higher monthly payment on any given loan. That might seem to make houses less affordable. But what's been clear over the last 2 decades and what economic theory predicts is that housing prices in the most desirable urban areas are determined by the maximum mortgage an affluent urban family can afford. Buyers in those markets bid against each other for a fixed stock of housing. So as nominal interest rates fell, families could afford to take larger mortgages and maximum bids rose. Overall, buyers ended up with the same monthly payment.
People always brag about the roaring 70s. There's nothing I always hear.
People love that. They heard houses were so cheap and it was great.
Yep.
I mean, they loved it.
Everything was better back then.
It was great. Yep. So getting ready to look forward to my winter of inflation in Bidenomics. But you can let us know how you're going to spend your extra money that you're going to make through inflation.
You need some guinea fowls, let us know, too.
That's on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod. You can also email us, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast and burnbarrelpodcast.com.